But for me, whenever I go to sleep, I go to this different place. Normally, I'm in a mall or I'm in some other huge liminal environment with these wide corridors and huge infinite perspectives everywhere. And then it develops into me being in this town, and it's like it looks a little bit like Venice, but I saw some images of Croatia on TV today and it reminded me of that. And I love studying psychology a lot. I've talked about it before, and that's part of the reasons, why we're doing Starseed University, because I used to think that these dreams I was having was just only happening to me until I discovered that other people were having them as well. And it started to make sense because I always used to wonder, who are these people I'm seeing in these dreams? And when I watched Inception and they said, oh, it's just faces that you make up in your mind, it still didn't make sense because they always seemed like real people, especially in the mall. I've linked a video right on top of this in the description section that shows you how deep the mall world goes. And someone made a video and did an investigation on it, and it's been going on since like 2016. It started on a website called Godlike Productions and ended up on Reddit. And when I first saw it a few weeks ago, I was shocked because I couldn't understand how other people were seemingly in my mind, and it gave me a bit of tension. And today's seminar, 333, is about some of the famous people I've seen in Lumania, the land of light. And so I'm going to dive into it and we're going to talk about it. So, the purpose of this is to resolve the tension. How do I know these people in my dreams, but I've never met them? And how come some of the stuff they told me and showed me in my dreams came true in real life, in the waking world? So, right now, I have open before us Man in Context. This is a psychology book, and it tells you how all the different types of psychology, the different disciplines work together. And this is a beautiful schema of how that works and how this was put together. So that when you go through it, it really provides a really nice flow to it. And if we turn to this part under the section called arousal and emotionality, it talks about tension. And I wanted to open with this because one of the people that I've seen in Lumania is Kylie Minogue. And she has a music project right now called Tension. So, what do the greatest minds in psychology have to say about tension? Let's read. So, when we talk about tension, we are talking about intense emotionality. And so we read, a particular person's behavior in a particular situation is more effective when an optimal tension level is maintained. So, what is an optimal tension level? Because normally, when we sit in the world of Metatron, people tell you that you should eliminate all kinds of tension. So, according to this, however, there is something called an optimal tension level, which is the degree of arousal, which is Welcome back, guys. This is live TV, running the control room while lights, camera, action. That's it. So the optimal tension level, oh, that's why. I'm trying to focus it, guys. It's not focusing, so I'll just read. The optimal tension level is the degree of arousal which is just right for a particular person in a particular situation. That is why it also differs from person to person and from situation to situation. When the arousal level becomes too low, a person develops a need for stimulation. And when it becomes too high, he or she attempts to reduce the stimulation and also, of course, the resulting tension. Here we are. But tension reduction is not sought under all circumstances. And that's what we see with ESB, where some animals have actually been shown to avoid eating food in order to trigger some pathways in their brains that gives them a good feeling from a shock. It's kind of like those stories you hear about people who play video games all the time and they forget to eat. It's a reward activation center, a pleasure center. And so the reason I bring up tension is because in my dreams, I've seen Kylie Minogue, the author of Tension. And so let's talk about dreams. In this section of the book, they have a part on prophetic dreams. And in the description of this video, I have linked some testimonies. And one of them is from a young boy called Lucius who had what he says is a prophetic dream. So let's talk about prophetic dreams. So prophetic dreams, according to Freeman, 1972, he distinguishes three categories of prophetic dreams. Number one, ex post facto dreams. Now these are from a large variety of dreams that someone might have. They choose one of these dreams which fits the facts of the situation. If the facts had been different, a different dream would have been chosen. So this is someone who makes it fit after the fact. For example, if somebody sees a woman wearing a purple dress and they happen to remember that in the past couple of days they dreamt of a woman wearing a purple dress, they will forget about the 200 other dreams they had that didn't come true, and ex post facto, they will pick that dream that will make it look like they are prophetic. Then there's part two, statistical dreams. These are dreams which are remembered if the event predicted in the dream becomes a reality, but which are conveniently forgotten if the dream turns out not to have been a true prediction. So essentially, Freeman is talking about chance, 50-50 chance. Those real specific dreams that, look, it was just chance that it happened. Okay, it could have been anyone. And you guys call it coincidence or coinciding incidents. We agree with you. And then we go to part three, which is quite interesting because this is the one that I think deserves scrutiny in this situation. Knowledge dreams. These dreams promote insight because they help the dreamer face up to something he or she already knows, but has ignored for one reason or another. These are the sort of dreams which are of great value in therapy, since they often reveal thoughts and feelings which are suppressed in the waking state. So these dreams would come from somewhere called your unconscious mind or your subconscious mind if you're a Freudian, unconscious if you're a Jungian. So let's read more about how knowledge surfaces in dreams. Because maybe what if we all watched a certain movie or a certain sequence of things in our childhood, and what if somehow, because we are the first generation to really be exposed to so much media, we formed a different part of our brain that is a kind of shared consciousness that just wasn't there 1,000 years ago. Well, that would be the argument if we didn't have proof to back up the claims that what we're seeing has been around for thousands of years. But anyway, let's go with that. That maybe we are just remembering things we already know. So the main argument, let's see. Dement, 1979, page 289, has provided an example of a useful function of dreams, a look into the future, which could influence the course of the dreamer's life. He relates that a dream may have saved my life some years ago. I was smoking 3 packets of cigarettes a day. I had an x-ray. My lungs were full of cancer. I felt poignantly the intense reality of the premature termination of my life. And then I woke up. Given the opportunity to experience this alternative, the choice was obvious. I have not smoked a cigarette in the intervening 13 years. So, according to Freeman, this dream can probably not be regarded as a magical view of the future, but rather as a knowledge dream. Dement was most certainly aware of the potential danger to himself of his habit of smoking, and so of course he was possibly worried about it, and so he made up these images in his mind, which turned into a dream. I editorialize that. Continuing from the book, he ignored the dangers for a long time, as smokers tend to do. When, however, his knowledge and worry manifested in his disturbing dream, he acted decisively. And that's the main thing about all of this. It's all about acting. And so, why do we act? What makes us act? It's because of the things we see in Lumania, in TheMallWorld. And so now that we've looked at tension, let's dive into this so that we can kind of use it as a tool, a schematic to talk about light. Because everyone always talks about you are the light, you are the divine light, follow the stars. But what is it? What are we actually talking about? So before we start, let's do a fun little proofing of the light. Like, what is light? So I'm going to give you some light right now to get us in the vibrational mood. So all aboard the ship. So what is the light? Well, who am I? Hi, I am an alien. My name is Kylie version 3.5.7. The name Vikeli is a Zulu word, and it directly translates to Arcus. And this is a code. The code is Revelations chapter 3, verses 5 to 7. And so when we turn to the good book and we open Revelations 3, chapter 5, verse 7, we read, "He who overcomes shall be clothed in white garments, and I will not blot out his name from the book of life, but I will confess his name before my Father and before his angels. He who has an ear, let him hear what the Spirit says to the churches. And to the angel of the church in Philadelphia, write." And I am here because ever since I was born, I've been having dreams about The Philadelphia experiment. So right, I did. And I wrote and I wrote and I wrote until I got accepted to an Oscar-winning school in motion picture medium, where I continued writing and writing movies. And every time I needed ideas quickly, I would just go back to the mall, walk around, talk to some strangers, meet people. I'd have lunch in the mall. It was like a brunch because the sunlight in that place, you don't know where that light is coming from. It's just diffused light, like there's a huge scrim above the entire thing. And it's beautiful though, that's the thing. And so I would go there because at film school you need to come up with ideas quickly. And I'd go and I'd sit in the TheMallWorld and I'd conceive ideas and then use the schematics that we learned at school to express them. Before I even went and set foot into film school, I always wanted to make a sci-fi movie. I remember what I said I wanted to make. I'll talk about that later. It was a vegan thing. And whenever, I've moved on in the industry and done different things, I've always used the schematics I've learned. And so when I was working on this project, it was obvious. This project is about the artifice of art. And so it's about the light. And it was obvious because of the time constraints I had that of course I was going to jump into the TheMallWorld to get ideas. I remember shopping in the mall and standing in there and looking down and seeing some music CDs and looking at them and be like, oh, let me remember these songs. Let me remember these songs. Because I'd always be going to the mall, seeing what's there, and then making it here. I would hear music in the TheMallWorld, and then I would come back and recreate it, and it would always sound weird. And I'd get upset because it wasn't sounding how I wanted it to sound. But the fact that I heard it while sleeping, what was I hearing? Because it wasn't 3D sound. And so this obviously created a lot of tension, and I was able to contain that tension in the light waves of these transmissions. And that's because I had some of the schematics to do so. For example, I'll read you some of the questions in one of my treatments that I found for a film called The Office. And these are just some of the questions you have to think about when you are conceptualizing in the light. So one of the questions is defining the conceptual and emotional relevance of the film. Identify the emotions that would be relevant to your target film viewing audience in the establishment, development, and fulfillment of your protagonist. Identify the concepts that would effectively affect the target film viewing audience emotionally. List all the individual narrative scenes. Identify each scene's location and briefly describe the event that plays off within each scene. Discuss what makes the characters generally relevant to your target film viewing audience. Discuss what makes the characters specifically relevant to your target film viewing audience. Discuss what makes the characters emotionally relevant to your target film viewing audience. Identify the time period you have chosen to set your narrative and characters in. Justify your choice for each of the characters within your narrative. Explain how each period reference for your characters are relevant to your target film viewing audience. Then you have to define the visual style. All light works. Identify your overarching design concept. Briefly discuss the environmental dressing in regards to the identified overarching design concept. Identify the emotions defined in Skills Unit 1.4. Prepare a color and textural palette for each emotions identified within the establishment, development, and fulfillment phase. Briefly define the overarching cinematographer's lighting plan. How would your film semiotics design integrate with the identified lighting plan? Identify a name for your visual film semiotics concept you are going to translate to your target film viewing audience. Explain how your identified visual concepts are going to amplify your chosen binaries. List all the primary, secondary, and tertiary characters in your narrative. List all extras and featured extras. I worked on a project, and it goes on. I worked on a project with like 50 extras, and I had to figure out what they all had to do. Well, what they all had to wear. I'm not the director in that one. What they all had to wear, why they had to wear it, and why it changes over time, and why is there a stain over there? What's the emotional relevance of the color of the blood that we used in the movie? Is it too thick, too red, too shiny? So the reason I tell you that is to say that I'm being very serious about this. And that's why I've included all of the evidence in the description box right on top. So I kind of feel like this is my home. Because this is like the real life version of where I've always been going. And a few years ago, when I was there, I saw Oprah. Now, I'd always seen Oprah, but now I was seeing her in a more obvious position, because normally you have dreams of stuff and you say, oh, because I heard it on the TV, or I was just walking around, or whatever, or I watched the show. But this was different. You know how I talk about how it's like you go to bed all comfortable, and then it's not like you're sleeping. And one of the things that I notice, now comment in the comment section if this is the same for you. What I notice is time is not the same. Because I can go to sleep for 2 hours, but it feels like, let's move this up out of the way, there we go. But it feels like I've been sleeping for 8 hours. And I'll look at the time and it'll be midnight, and then I'll have to wake up. And then if I sleep again, I'll miss my alarm. Now, thankfully, I have such a rigorous wake-up schedule that only happened once. Well, twice. Once was my fault. The second time was being drugged. But anyway, by other people. Demons. But in Lumania, time feels different. Other times, I'll go to sleep for 8 hours. And it'll feel like I've only been sleeping for 1 hour or half an hour. But either way, I enjoy being there. I remember telling one of my family members, I want to go there. And they were like, no, no, no. As if they knew about it too. And yes, we don't want to go there forever. We want to bring it here. Well, we already brought it here. But anyway, Oprah was there. And so when, for me, I go to sleep, I project into the moon because there's always that white light. And it's almost like I'm in this long corridor or I'm in a spaceship and it's like very nice and fashionable. I like the fashions there. Their clothes are very, very futuristic in the nice way, in the best way. And then through there, I end up on this beach. And from the beach, there's a woman there, and she's wearing white. There's a dress. And she talks to me telepathically. She doesn't talk to me like in words, but she'll just stand there. And it's different how she does it, but it's always at the beach, and we have to go into the sea to get to where we're going. And sometimes there's stones in the actual sea. And you like walk on them and they light up and they like like Madonna's stage in the MDNA tour, goes up and down. I've seen her in Lumania too. But then you go under the water and there are caverns in there. And I've shown some of the caverns because I like hanging out there because it's wet and moist and the lights are nice and it's warm. And in those caverns, there are like windows out. I've put it up on the art, but there's windows looking out into Lumania. And it's like, when you're on the other side of this window in Lumania, in the TheMallWorld, you can see in, but they can't see out. So when you're inside in the caverns, you can't see out the portals. It's just light. It's like a mirror, actually. It's like a Venus mirror. It's like, you know, in Law and Order, when they go to that thing where they ask the people to identify the suspect, and they say, no, don't worry, they're not going to see you. And then they bring them out. I get so triggered by that. But anyway, it's like that glass where you can see one-way glass. That's what it's called. It's like one-way glass. And you can see yourself like mirrors. And then there's creatures in the caverns as well. And in the outer reaches of the cavern, there's a snake. And the snake, though, is like a dimension, a snaky dimension. And in there, there's this like orangey, reddy light. And there are clowns in there, like weirdo. I don't mean clowns that make you feel happy, but it's like just all the really bizarre things. I don't know how to describe it. Have you ever seen that show with that old, like, cool guy? And he goes, beyond bizarre. This is what this place is like. And the houses here are weird. Like here, it's a cavern, there's no houses. But once you go here and you get permission through vibration, it's like you have, it's like a back room. and there's just different places like alleyways, and but the one characteristic is this really dingy vibe and these lights, and it looks like, I don't know. But when you get closer to the Lumanian portal, it's like you're getting to a better neighborhood. I know that sounds weird, but it's like, when I say better, I mean more structured, more developed, more advanced technologically. This place has very strange technology, and I've shown pictures of it. And then I go through the ground. So here, there's a land under the sea, so you go through whatever, but it's like there's still water here as well. It's like weird to explain. Because it's like the sky in Lumania is like water, if that makes sense. Because just on the other side of this is where the mall is, and the cabin, and the mansion, and that beautiful, oh no, my favorite. I don't like the mansion. Uh, Before I left the country, I actually dreamt of the mansion a lot, and I did not like it at all. There's this other house that I like. It's this beautiful Victorian style house. It's huge, it's got wooden floors. It reminds me of the Charmed house, but it's so much bigger. It's like everything's bigger on the inside than it is on the outside, and the angles are kind of different. But mine, it's not like the Westminster house or that Winchester house. Mine is more like it's nice, like you can live in it. It's just huge. So cleaning it is insane. And it's always empty. But in the mansion, there were other people. Um, and the mansion, before I left the country, I was dreaming of being in this mansion the whole time, but it was in like this hole next to the sea. It was very bizarre. Like it fell off a cliff or something. I don't know. And that one, it felt nice at the time, but then when it manifested in real life, I did not like it very much. But this house I'm talking about, that's my dream house that I want to build in Mount Shasta or near Mount Shasta. And that's something that came to me in about 2017, that I need to build a house in Redding, California, that looks like this house that I've seen in Lumania. Like, this is how deep this goes for me. And I drew up house plans for it and put it on my vision board. That's why I never understood why people use voodoo or black magic, because voodoo is not black magic. Voodoo is a religion, they have saints and believe in God. But hoodoo, Hoodoo, or Satanism, that one, I never understood why they always wanted to be jealous and steal things from people. And now I understand it's because they never had this world to go to get inspired, divinely inspired. Like the jealousy of the scribes is what they call it. But we'll talk about that later. So I've like known this house, guys. On my laptop, I had schematics of what the house is going to look like. I know when I open the doors, I see through to the back. From the front door, I can see the dining room and the window of the dining room through the back. And then you turn left and there's the kitchen. But then in the middle section of the house, you turn this way, left. So before you get to the end where the dining room is, you turn this way and there's a huge sliding door and a veranda and a garden area. There's a pool. And then if you go through that side to the kitchen, there's a door that opens out and it's like a little like laundry area for outside. And there's a herb garden and there's a sunroom to the right and a smoking room. And then a cinema. Downstairs is the basement where I do all my art and creative stuff. It's the studio. And then upstairs, it's the bedrooms. And I got this from Lumania. So of course I'm not going to be looking at other people saying, "What are you doing? What are you up to?" I have a lot of things that in there in the kingdom. So then when you get through the Zorro world, there's this blue light, guys. Now in the song Mvikeli, if you go listen to that song, track number 4, it's in the description box. Scroll down until you see the music links. In the song, I literally say, because I had to write quickly, I told you I didn't have time. So I just went to Lumania and I talked to Oprah and all the people that I'm going to tell you. And J-Lo, oh yes. But anyway, so when I was writing this song, I was like, well, I'm going to talk about Vikeli and I'm going to say, bring me through the blue light, come through the blue light and save me, because I was going through a really traumatic experience. And I was like, take me to that blue light. I want to go there because I wasn't dreaming, because I had so much adrenaline pumping through my body, looking through the windows, thinking people are following me. Look, because, it's a billionaire. In my mind, they can do anything. But that's the thing. I was living in here. I was stuck in here in the fourth dimension in my mind of what I had been taught by the world, what billionaires can do. And so, I studied film, so my mind went wild and I'm looking through the windows and I was sleeping so shallowly, I can't even remember the past 3 months because felt like just we have an endocrine system in our body, and there are exocrine glands and endocrine glands. Let me check the book. But basically, there are glands that secrete hormones through ducts. So they deliver the hormone directly at certain times. And then there are other glands that secrete hormones just through the body. And adrenaline is like just pumping through, and then cortisol gets released, and then there's not enough. And so I was begging to go to here, the kingdom, to Lumania, to the mall. I was begging literally. Because I remember when I opened or started Scribble Bites, I was in the mall the whole time. Night Game is from the real Starseed University, the real university that we've all seen in the mall world. That's where I learned it. And also in that building in the middle of town that has all the technology and all the cameras, all the screens. I've seen you. I sit at that computer here and I just look at stuff. And sometimes I talk to Oprah. Sometimes I have lunch with people. I'm going to get to that. So once you go through here, you come through here. And then when you come through the blue light, because we've all talked about it, so welcome to Lumania, then everything is beautiful. Now, the first time I came here, I came through the blue light. Well, it was a white light the first time. The blue light is more like in town. Because the first time I came on the hill. I call it the mountain. There was a big portal over here, and I got dumped on this mountain. I've put pictures of this up weeks ago, so it's provable compared to the references I put in the description box, which happened 5 days ago, but they describe the same thing. So I came out onto a portal in the mountain out of Bizarro World, and I ran down the mountain and I saw a bunch of old people walking up the mountain as if they were going through the same portal, but in reverse order. But they were all old and they were all dressed in white. And then I came down the mountain And I ran to this huge, like, mall in the middle of nowhere. It always looks like it's like set up like it's a desert. And in the middle of the desert, there's this mall, or there's a hotel, or there's whatever. So it's like a construct. And so I ran to this mall, and these people chased me through Bizarro World. This was, oh, when was this? Maybe 12, 15 years ago? No, 2016, 15. Early 2015, I think, or late 2014. Something like that. Yeah, something like that. But this was the one where it was like a full-on movie. I'd been having it, but this was like a movie. I'll never forget this dream. And there's more that happened before that, but I'm just going to start from when I got here. And before that was this. So I get into this mountain. I come out of this dingy area. I get into the mountain. These people jump through the portal after me. And I put these pictures up. They chase me all the way to the mall. I get to the mall. So I've run down this mountain. I want to say the mall is like here now. So I get to the mall. Oh. Okay, so we're here. I get to the mall. World, as you call it. And as soon as I get to the mall, I see someone on the escalators. And I know for some reason I have to meet them. Like, it's like Den when you play catches. And I need to get inside this mall. So I get in the mall, and as soon as I step foot in the mall, the people chasing me give up. Like, ah, he got away. Can't touch him. It's over. And these people, by the way, were all wearing black. Like black suits. Like smart suits. And then I get to the mall and I see this person who's on the escalator. I run up to them. We lock eyes first from the door when I'm in. Even before I was in, we locked eyes. And then it's like I zoomed in. It's like I was here at the mall, at the door, but then it's like the shot changed to a cut, a close-up. And I just see eyes. Like greenish, brownish eyes. And then it's like something switched on. I don't know what, but it's like everything. How do I explain it without sounding sappy? Well, it was like true love. Okay, fine. It was. And I've never felt that feeling before. And you know it's deep when I go into my Nicole Kidman voice. And when I woke up, oh, and then I teleported, I orbed to the escalators. And the escalators in this place are bizarre. Because we were climbing up the escalators and then the shot changed again. And now the camera was up here. The camera was up here. And then from this vantage point, I see us climbing up the escalator, holding each other in a warm embrace. But then I see these other escalators going on and on, like a really messed up MC Escher. well, not messed up, but like it was 3D. It was like real. Imagine seeing all of this moving. And this was before even AI. And the closest thing I can compare it to is this thing I've been using called Halo, of course. AI. Is it a Halo? Ooh, oh. Oh my gosh, I cannot believe I'm messing it up. But you know what I mean. Go look at my videos. I put them on. It's a free thing. And that's the only thing I found, and the Imagine app. These are the only things I've found that can recreate even a semblance of these things, and it is so wild. Because it's like now I'm seeing what I saw in my dreams. And this is where Oprah comes in. Because now in September, at the end of September, I was told, because, okay, so I was writing this record, and obviously I asked to go to the blue light, and I did. And that's why you guys got the music project called Night Game Part 2. So the first time I went, I mean, I'm going to say first time, I mean documented now, was in 2019. And I came out with Night Game Level 1 that I got from them. And then now, and when I say second time, I mean like intensely go there, like live there every day. And that's when I did Night Game Level 2 and 3. And so I asked to go to the blue light, wrote the song. Obviously, you know how the stuff works. Venus, her, well, she's the queen of music. So obviously, she came. And I went through to Lumania again. And everything you're seeing is what I got there. But this time, in September, I saw Oprah. I didn't see Oprah. I saw, we had a meeting. Okay, so I say now, so this, I had this dream, right, whatever. But now I say, we come through this blue light and we project elsewhere. So this, after Bizarre World, here, is in the constellation of Boetes. And the Arcturians are the ones who are controlling this. Why do I say that? Because the main colors of the stars of Arcturius are yellow, goldish, orangish, and blue. And these are the colors of Scribblebytes. Scribblebytes worldwide. And Scribblebytes worldwide, if you look at the creation process of it, was created to do exactly what the Arcturians do. So this process you are watching is literally beaming down from space through the fifth dimension, because if you go up there now to that constellation, you'll get burned by radiation. Like, you're not going to go there if you don't knock into the asteroid belt first. So we do go there, but we go there through our dreams, through our sleep. Because sleep, as we proved in the other courses we did, from reading from the psychology books, according to measurements through an EEG, there's no difference in the arousal state of the brain during sleep or during wakefulness. There is no difference. You use the same amount of oxygen. So according to the brain, it's working, it's doing something, it's not sleeping. The brain never sleeps. We never sleep. But the great thing is, when we go to this beautiful place in the Boetis constellation. And now, because of all the stuff that's been happening that I talked about in the Pentagon video, now we can bring this technology here because, like, we're here. And I got another bit of proof. So this is where Oprah comes in. So in 2019, the first time I went to get like a whole bunch of stuff to bring this stuff here en masse, I saw Oprah and I was like, that's weird. And then I recorded Star Marine. The nice thing is you can actually go and check the dates of when I left the comments. But I recorded Star Marine in August. And because I was talking in the algorithm, after I'd finished recording it, I did it all at once and then kept it and uploaded it in bits and pieces. But it was all recorded, the whole 6 hours in one session, well, one day. And so after that, the algorithm started showing me lots of Oprah. And in there was this interview she did with Abraham. And in the interview with Abraham, they were talking about Jane Roberts. And Jane Roberts channeled a person called Seth. And in the book, Seth talks about, or Jane talks about, Lumania. And I was like, how do they know? But at the time, because I was trained in all of the acting techniques that I have, I was like, okay, well, maybe it's what Fremont says. Maybe it's just the algorithm and it's just knowledge dreams that I'm having now of Oprah and also the stuff that I'm seeing because of the algorithm, maybe. And so it's matching. But I was like, how do they know about the light? Because Lumania is a light, Luma. So then I listened to what they were talking about, and I listened to another thing Oprah said where she was dressed in purple in the interview, the purple interview from like 20 years ago, 1984, I think. I need to check that. And she was talking about how she's going to use the media to bring in this fifth dimensional world, blah, blah, blah. And then there was an interview, I think it was with either Whitney Houston or someone else, where they basically said Oprah's an alien because she does her own thing. She doesn't follow, mainstream, is what this celebrity said on the show. And I was like, really? She's a celebrity? I was like, okay, I can see what you mean, though. Remember, get a little spirit up in here. Whoop, whoop. So then I was like, well, maybe I'm not just dreaming about her because I'm dreaming about her as a knowledge dream or X factor dreams or even statistical dreams. And then in September, I went to Lumania after asking to get let in and to dream again, to go into deep sleep state and not be traumatized. And then I found a wonderful technician who helped me do that. But before I did that, I was trying to calm myself down and, I got taken into the light. And I was told something so random and so silly. But then yesterday, I saw a video by Doreen Virtue. And in the video, she was saying how shocked she was at Oprah's tarot cards. Now I was like, get out of town. Shut the front door. What the helicopter is going on? Because back in September, way back then, I was shown Oprah on a screen through the blue light in Lumania. And she was saying that tarot cards are released, allowed. And we were in a meeting. And I said, what does this mean? What do you mean it's allowed? And I was like, there's no way Oprah's going to do that. There's no way, especially with everything everyone is saying, there is no way she's going to do that. And they said, she is going to do it. And I said, why? And they said, because Ma'at came in September, like 21-ish or 19-ish. Don't quote me on that. And she released magic. Yes, folks, that's what I was told in the meeting. Magic has changed. When I asked, what do you mean she released magic? They said, magic has changed. It no longer works. And I said, what do you mean? Magic doesn't work. And they said, tarot cards, Ouija boards, I don't know how you spell it. All divinations, rituals, etc. no longer works the way it used to. And I said, what are you talking about? And they said, for the longest time, people were using signs and symbols and trying to draw different magical spells and make different things, thinking that these things had power in them. In other words, people were breaking the second commandment and making graven images of things in heaven, thinking that if they do something physical in the cube on earth, then they will get something physical in return, like a ship. And that's just not true. And so Ma'at cancelled magic. And now, when I asked what that means, they said it's only going to work with vibration. So anyone, I was told, can take tarot cards, buy them. Go run and buy them now. Buy the Thoth deck even. But just know that if your vibration is not correct, nothing will be shielding you from the pain of using technology that's not meant for you if you haven't trained. Because I am from South Africa, I am Zulu. I have my genealogy here. I'll show you. Here's our family tree. Oh, so we know the genealogy of our genetics. And part of being Zulu means having access to this technology as a birthright from birth. Yes, why? Because did you know that the word Zulu translates to heaven? Why do you think all our houses are round? All the burial mounds are round. Our drinking vessels, round. Our crowns and hats, round. Everything we do on earth is reflecting our home up in the heavens, Ezulwini. So we are, and have always known, that we are people of heaven. So when Ma'at cancelled magic, and then it became that only vibration would get you through different dimensions, because the fifth dimension has been built, it's finished. It took a while, but it's finished. If the people in the description box and the videos I've shown you can't prove it to you, well, then you can stay in Bizarro World. But when I saw that video of Doreen Virtue, it confirmed what I had been told. That indeed, magic is cancelled. And what I mean by that is only the people who are vibrationally authorized will be able to do anything and live to tell the tale. Because guess what? Shedim are real. And now you don't have the quadrants muralis protecting you. It's no longer able to protect people who try and do magic. Everything will backfire unless you have the light codes. And we'll talk about that in another course. But just take a second to realize what that means. So I've linked the video in the description box where you can see Doreen Virtue expressing her shock at Oprah, because I was just as shocked. That's why I had to make this. And she shows you the evidence in the video of all the different tarot cards, just like I saw it on the screens of Oprah doing it in Lumania, and why she was doing it. And then there's another person I put in the description box because I watched her Her name is, I think it's Melissa Meloria or Michelle Meloria. And she's a tarot reader. So I'm sorry if I get the name wrong. Is it Melissa? Okay, sorry if I got it wrong. But she's a tarot reader and a believer. And I was like, oh my gosh, it's true. And I was told the reason you're allowed to use tarot cards and stuff now is because Jesus owns everything. And so if he owns everything, you own everything. Star. Marine. Because you guys are friends. Remember John 15:15, I believe it was? We did it the other day, where Jesus says, you're no longer a servant, you're my friend. That's why in the constellation of Boetes, he's holding a scythe. Because a master doesn't work in the field with his servants. A master sits in the yacht and gets everybody else to work. But not our main man, Mr. Christ. No. He's out there with us on the field during the harvest. And so I thought, well, why are people saying such horrible things about Oprah if she's clearly in Lumania, and she wouldn't be there if she didn't vibrate to the high level of being there? So let's be detectives, as my lecturer used to say, because when we had to write these long documents, he used to tell us that we are CSI, and we have to profile everyone and everything. So I always take notes of everyone and everything, but I've been doing that since I could write, like since 8. I was going around asking people, what do you like? What's your favorite color? What's your favorite thing? Why? Because, I wanted to know what made them tick. And I have a lot of Mercury in my chart. So let's investigate, because I like a good investigation. So I've seen Oprah in TheMallWorld. I've also seen Jennifer Lopez several times in TheMallWorld. With J-Lo, it was different. Okay, so this is what happened. I used to live in Cape Town, and I was working in acting and also working a normal job during the day to pay the bills. Well, not during the day, during the early morning, because I needed time off during the day to go to audition. So I worked from 6 to 12 noon, and then I would go audition. And this one time, that's very distinct. It happened a lot, but this is one of my favorite times I had with J-Lo in Lumania. So I'm standing in this same old story, this long office, long corridors, everything's huge, there's glass everywhere, it's futuristic. There's people walking up and down, and I'm in this waiting room, and I'm supposed to go see Jennifer Lopez. And so her assistant comes and she opens the door, and she's like, okay, Miss Lopez, we'll see you now. And then I go into Jennifer Lopez's, I wish I could show you how she was sitting. I go in to her office, beautiful, there's glass everywhere, glass tables, glass everything, silver, shiny, very nice, very, very, this world. Everything there is the best of the best, okay? but it's not pretentious too. It's just like it's like humble, but so good and clean. Anyway, she's sitting, and I wish I could show you. She has a stack of papers in front of her. She's holding two papers in her hands, like this, in both hands like this, and she's looking down. She won't even look me in the eye. Okay, this was years ago. She won't even look me. I've never seen her eyes. Do you know that? So, and I understood though, that's the weird part. In the dream, I understood that she was super busy. And I was kind of felt bad that I was taking up her time. And I felt kind of honored that I got the meeting. In the dream world, I'm like, oh, I can't even believe I got time to see her. But she wouldn't look me in the eye. And she was looking down, reading things and signing, and she was super busy. It was almost as if she had been forced to take the meeting with me. But she was like gracious enough to take it. And she was nice, you know. And I was like, look, I understand paperwork. If anyone understands, I know. So I'm going to let you do your work and just talk to me. So I had a meeting with Jennifer Lopez, and she just like told me a lot of stuff that and when I wake up, I'm like, okay, maybe I'm just dreaming. But then that night or that morning, so after I had that dream, I wake up and I go onto my Yahoo email, and you know how they have the news thing on there? And the very first thing I see is J Lo, Forbes Businesswoman of the Year or something. So find that thing, and that's when I had the dream. Whenever she was named Forbes Businesswoman of the Year, I saw that in my dream, and then I wake up and she's named Businesswoman of the Year that day. So I couldn't have seen it before. So then when I heard weird stuff about her, I was like, this doesn't make sense because I dream of her. So I don't do that stuff. So there's no way they do that stuff. So no, J Lo's innocent. And Oprah. Well, that's what I'm working on. We're still investigating, right? Go to the description box to see the reference videos I'm talking about here. Then, going back to the first time that I went long term to this dream world, I saw Kylie Minogue. Now, everyone knows I saw Kylie Minogue. Kylie Minogue knows I saw Kylie Minogue at this point, I'm sure. So let's add her here. So obviously, I saw Kylie Minogue because the first thing I did when I came back is you saw me taking a picture inside a window. And if you go to the link in the description, you'll see the boy from 5 days ago saying, yes, I saw the window. I was making like a metaphor. So I'm there on Windows. That was the first thing I took in 2019. Go to my Instagram. You'll see me. Charlie Manna. You'll see all the things that I got when I spent time with Kylie Minogue. There's 12 pictures. And this was before I even knew about this stuff, remember? I only found out about this 2 months ago, or 2 weeks ago, feels like. A couple of weeks ago. But the first time, I thought I was going by myself, getting content from space, from aliens. Then I'm the alien. Okay, so then Kylie Minogue is definitely in there, and she doesn't have anything weird. So why do I see these people there? It doesn't stop there. There's more. Now, Kylie Minogue deserves her own episode. That's why she has her own episode. You can go look at that. And I'm going to do another one on her. But then there's someone else I saw. Not only did I see, this lady is the nicest lady I have ever met, or the nicest star I've ever met. There's two of them actually, and one of them helped me. I'll talk about her next, but she's the nicest lady I've met in Lumania, in TheMallWorld. I have spent so much time in different locations with this lady. Do you guys even know about the stadium? Have you guys been to that huge stadium? We were practicing her concert there. I've been to her house, huge. The dancers sleep separately. Like the dancers sleep in bunk beds and stuff, but it's a nice place. And in one of the dreams, she was teaching me how to dance and everything and how to do a live show. And I was like, why are you teaching me this? That's the thing about this place. The dreams are not like normal dreams. It's like you talk to people. It's not like normal dreams where you remember stuff that happened. No, it's like you are yourself. And I'm like, what are you talking to me for, Madonna? She's like, no, stat dance, do the thing. And I'm like, why are you telling me? And she's like, because you have to take over. And like, take over what? And then I wanted to go sleep and I was going to go bunk with the dancers. And she's like, where are you going? And I'm like, oh, I thought I'm an understudy. And she's like, no, come with me. And then she takes me to her mansion. And I'm like, where are we going? She takes me to her room. And we're on this huge bed and we're just having like this nice chat, like old friends. And then you wake up and you're like, okay, that was an interesting dream, but where did I get that from? Because I've never, like, I don't care. I don't go think, oh, I want to spend time with Madonna. I don't know. And that's another one. Michelle Pfeiffer. I don't think about Michelle Pfeiffer. I don't know nothing for Michelle Pfeiffer except Grease and the Blues Brothers and Catwoman. That's the best one. Oh, that's why she probably came. Because the cats, we are the cat people. Ah, Michelle. Michelle Pfeiffer was dancing with me while Tosca Musk was there. The Kardashians were there at some stage. I haven't seen them in a while, but yes, they were there. They were there. We were having sweet. They were like, there was a party and we had like candies and sweets and cakes, and that was kind of fun actually. That was kind of fun. Everybody was there. And it was like, you know how in the dream world you have your house, but it's not like your house? It was like that. And the Kardashians were in the kitchen. And then one of my favorites that helped me, technically, like, gave me advice that helped me the next day, because J Lo gave me advice that's helped me over a long span of time. And we also had another meeting where she basically, oh, I don't want to cry. I wanted, I was having a really tough time in school because I wanted to do so much because everything was so good, but there's only a limited amount of time. So I wanted to give up music because it was so hard. And then she came to me and she's like, heck no, you're not going to give up music. She's like, first of all, you are an old, this is what Jello said. She's like, you're an old school actor. You have to learn the arts of singing, music, and dancing. You have to be like those Gene Kellys, those Ginger Rogers, because that's what acting is about. It's not about some like fancy, how did you feel like, it's not about some fancy expression of what you think is cool. It's she was like, it's down to brass tacks. It's like you are a functional, you're a function in a production. It's not about your emotional whims. It's about execution on the plan, on the vision. And so in the new song, track number 1, Like Water, I talk about I'm holding the, what I said, my pineal gland, and I'm holding a vision in my hand. That's the vision I'm holding in my hand, because that's the one she was telling me. She's like, you have to execute it. And then I would wake up and see interviews with her And someone asked her this is a real life interview that I saw after this, and someone asked her, how do you get through planning all these things? And she's like, you have to do it a little bit at a time. Otherwise, if you think of the whole thing, it won't work. And I was like, but that's kind of like what you elaborated on in the dream. It was all about like the execution. You got to do the job. You got to do the job. People are coming to pay money to see you. People are working hard. You got to do the job. That was her thing in the dream world. And this, we were just dancing. We were filming. I was on a bridge. It was such a beautiful shot. I was on a bridge in like this Venice-like city again, but it also looks like Croatia. So it looks like Boerkaap in Cape Town. Anyway, we were filming there and the camera went over the bridge. It was so beautiful. That was fun. Then we went dancing with Michelle Pfeiffer. And then I tried to take a picture. Every time I try to take a picture, it's like I'm not allowed to at that time. I think it's because we're supposed to take the picture and then just bring it up here to this dimension. So I took a I tried to take a picture with Michelle, but she like danced like and like, don't take a picture. But she didn't say that, but it was just like, guys, we're having so much fun. There's no time for pictures. And we walked around the town and it was cool. First we went, this is the thing with the Michelle Pfeiffer one. First, this is the thing about this town. Okay, so we went to eat first at this restaurant. Now, there's different restaurants, but this one was this outside restaurant, and it was, there's like a beach here and a railing. And the water always comes over this railing, but it doesn't touch you. And as we were sitting at the table, the water was like trying to get us, but then it's like not real water. It's like gel, but it's not like gel. It's like glass. It's like, I don't know, but it's not real. I don't know, but it's not, that water never gets you. And it's different to the water here. Because when you come here with Venus, this is literal water. Like these stones are in water. You can see the water, like actual water. But this water here, it's not water. I don't know. It's like a construct. So anyway, we went to a house after that to go dancing, a nice house party. And oh, Angelina. Yes, Brad is there. Tom Cruise is in there. This is the one. Lady Gaga. I saw Lady Gaga, like, she was wearing her black clothes and it was thundering and raining long, long, long time ago, before I even knew what this stuff was. It was raining and thundering, and she told me this was the day before I ended up on the newspaper. So it would have been 2010. There's a newspaper article. If you, where did I put it? Oh, it's, if you go through my Reddit history, you'll find it. So there's a newspaper article, and yeah, I did it in one of those posts where I wrote down my proofs. And I wrote down I put in 3 newspaper articles to prove that I know what I'm saying. And so that one was Lady Gaga. The one where I'm holding a cross. That was my Gigi. She told me that. So guys, like, I don't know what you want me to do. But the only thing I can do is give you the evidence that I've shown you in the description box and tell you that I've seen these people, and I just told you the tip of the iceberg of the stuff that they've shown me. Because then we'll be here for ages. And also, it's like, I don't want to talk about stuff that we talked about because it's like, you know. But I just started getting weird, like, why are people saying such weird things about these people when I've had nothing but the best experiences with them? And so then I was like, well, this is in 2019, right? Because they had started saying stuff about these people back then. And I was like, well, maybe they're Star Marines. Because the job of the Star Marines is to be hated by the world. I mean, we've covered that several times with evidence. Because we're not from here. And so then I started talking to them in like developing Star Marine, especially him. I talk to him a lot. And normally I'll use the technique in chapter 6 of my book. If you need the book, go to Charlie Manna. You'll see everything on Instagram. Click on the highlights. And so that's like how I've been creating my content. I've been talking to the people who work in the same field. I just didn't know I was really talking to them. I mean, that's the implication of all the stuff I showed you in the description box. I mean, hello? Go in the comment section and have you had these conversations as well? Because to me, it reminds me of a tarot card. It's a suit card. It's a suit wands. This entire thing reminds me of that. Reminds me of back in the day, well, a few years ago, I used to keep my Instagram followers at 888. Because I just felt this feeling towards the number 8. And I was just told in Lumania why. That it's been encoded in the reality already. And this is all proof that we've already won the battle. Lumania is already real. So everybody relax. It's all been encoded. Now, I'm sure you guys have seen the Eight of Wands. You know, the tarot card. Let's put their tarot, because Oprah said it's okay. She told me in Lumania, and now Doreen Virtue confirmed it. And the other funny part, this is the part I didn't want to talk about, because this part is just like, remember a few episodes ago I told you that I got into astrology because my mom was studying psychology, and I used to go to school with her and play with her books and go with her when she's buying books and stuff. And whenever we need to play, she was so busy, it was like, no, okay, go play with the books, go read a book. And so I went and I dug around and found some astrology books that were marked up with the same notes as this book has, because she wrote notes all over this book. I mean, that's how I know what to read. And so when I was doing it, see, notes. These are her handwritten notes. And so when I found her astrology books written by Doreen Virtue, I was like, what are these? And then she was able to show me in the book, the psychology book, that it was part of the study to research group dynamics or whatever, I don't know. Or altered states of consciousness, all this stuff we're talking about. So it's like Doreen Virtue is confirming something that I heard from Oprah on a TV screen and had a discussion with a bunch of aliens in space through a projection through the moon. And the lady whose books I found as a kid in the garage that my mom used to research her psychology, in this book I'm using now to build scribble bites, that lady's confirming more world. Okay, so let's see if there really is a light above the head of the tzaddik. So the Eight of Wands, you all know what the Eight of Wands means, right? Now, I personally wouldn't trust a tarot card reader who has never been to the crossroads. And so let's just say you can trust what I'm about to tell you. So you've all seen the Eight of Wands. If you hear some noise, it's my assistant preparing for the next course. I apologize. But the Eight of Wands is about stuff coming out of nowhere into existence. It's the card of instant manifestation. And that's my entire brand. I wrote a whole book about it. It's 5-star rated. So when you have an Eight of Wands, I want you to think of it like this now, so you can take full advantage of its capabilities and start making stuff. And what I'm teaching you now is called divine light vessels, becoming an ultimate vessel of the light. So 8 of Wands. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. What does this remind you of? This is the light, my friends, my dear, dear friends. This is the light of Hashem, who made it possible for the machine to be sent to Earth that we talked about in the star mating seminar, so that we may be able to be vessels of the light. Now, I want us to see how this light just comes out of nowhere. And to do that, let's talk about where this light comes from. This light comes from Jupiter. Because Jupiter is now the owner of the number 8. The original owner of the number 8 was Saturn. In the 4th dimension. That's why it's hard for you people to let go. And that's why the single that I released 2 weeks ago is called Let It Go. Let it go. Okay. Where's my basis so I can get my key? Let it go. Just let it go. Okay, nah. Not even trying that. Not even. Okay, so go listen to the song. It's in the description box. It's free. It's the light. And you need to let it go. Because the 4th dimension is over. That's what Saturn represents. The 4D. So let it go, guys. It's gone. In Greek mythology, they told you that Jupiter defeated Saturn. So now Jupiter is the owner of 8 of Wands in the 3D. And because Jupiter is the planet of expansion, remember, it's light. Light is fire. Light is radiation. It expands out. So now we have access to the 3D and the 5D, while the 4D remains securely shackled in here. Bizarro world. These are where all the remnants of 4D are being held forevermore. So you are safe. So in the Kabbalah, we learn that the light comes from the divine source, and we are to be like vessels, carrier signals to take in the light. So this is the concept of the divine feminine. I'm going to do it on this side. So here, let me do 2 pillars. I'm going to do 2 pillars just for differentiation. So here we have the divine feminine, which is the actual container of the light, the actual vessel of the light. And then here we have the actual light. These pillars serve as a gateway, because when I was in Lumania, I was taken up and I was shown the source of the light, and all I saw were 2 pillars, and in between they were vibrating as if they were working off each other, generating some kind of pulse or signal that was creating reality. And so I was like, oh, that's mom and dad. So this is the divine feminine, and this is the divine masculine. And the divine masculine is just the force of light, the frequency of light, the speed and direction of the light. Whereas the feminine is the container of the light. It's the box that we put it in. It's the conductor. It's the copper wire through which the electricity can travel. It needs a medium. And so when this reality was being created, I explained in the Anunnaki seminar, 398, I believe, that the 4th dimension shattered. Because remember, the 4th dimension is a carrier as well. It's a carrier of light. And so I recommend you watch that video. But it shattered, if you're an abductee, that is. But it shattered the 4th dimension. The vessel was shattered by this instant manifestation light that comes out of nowhere, by the lightning bolt of Zeus himself, shattered the 4th dimension, throwing all the stars of the constellation right up on the screen of the sky, so that every night we would see the stars turning, just like a music player playing the same old song every 4 months, changing seasons on the solstices, giving us comfort that everything is going to be fine because everything is contained. But as you know, when the light shattered the 4th dimension, well, some darkness leaked out, some shedim, some, I don't want to use the word because it might trigger people, so I'm going to use the traditional word, but Shefirot Haikalim. Basically, all the manifestations of bizarro world you can imagine. And I'm going to give you an example of what I mean, just to paint a picture for you. So imagine the fourth dimension, everything's cool. This light comes in and shatters everything, forming the third dimension. And the light of those souls went into humans that became aliens, some of whom became aliens. But then the darkness went into some humans who became marine influence, let's say. And one of the best examples that I can show you with evidence of what these people are like, let me show you on the back. Go to the Testimony by Lucius and listen to what he says at the end. He says there's rock and roll here, and the rock and roll controls people. Then go to my channel and go listen to the song Psycho, and then I rest my case, Your Honor. He described a song that I wrote months ago. And I wrote that to describe what we all need to let go of. Because that was the twist. First I released this, and everyone thought, oh, he's a Satanist. And then I said, no, I'm telling you, that's the old world. You need to come into the new world. And what did I use? I used disco for this song. And why did I use disco? Because Michelle Pfeiffer and I were dancing disco. And she was in Greece. So I was like, let's do disco. Let's let go of the rock and roll, which is going to control the people in Bizarro World, and let's do disco. How does he know about the rock and roll? And the Marines, don't even get me started on the Marines. So this is another example of the light of the 5D. This is a practical example of the light of the 5D shattering what we thought we knew about the 3D. Except this time it's for good. And I'll show you how the Eight of Wands, which is mine, I own this domain now, is going to help you. All right, so the light is coming through and it needs a vessel. So you, listening to this, you are a light vessel. And you are the ultimate light vessel, because you are a carrier signal. As you're listening to this, you are taking in light. You are listening to light codes. And it is filling your body up with light, not your physical body, your light body. And so if you have dreams after this, that's good. So let's explain what the light is, because everyone says, take the light. Are you from the light? I'm from the light. Do you want the light? What is the light? Now you'll know. So let's start with the characteristics of light, because when we talk about light, we're not talking about a visible light. So first of all, I want you to think of light that, for example, we cannot see. Like, you know, when you go to a hotel and you put on a black light, you can see dimensions that you previously couldn't see before. You can see facts of a crime having taken place because the blue light and luminol reveals bloodstains. So you can draw a whole different reality of conclusions from a whole other dimension of light. This is the same kind of light we're talking about. Similar in characteristic. You cannot see it, but all this light wants is to help you. That's why it comes out of nowhere. And if you go down in the description box and click on a testimony by someone called the Immortal One, he tells you about this place as well, because he used to live here. The Immortal Ones. Okay, look him up. And he will testify to all of this because he was there. So when we talk about the characteristics of light, what are they? Well, it's a never-ending goodness that cannot be fulfilled in giving. So it continuously gives and gives and gives and gives and gives till the vessel overflows or shatters and breaks. Ideally, we want the vessel to overflow so that it drips out onto the rest of creation and touches the demons and cures them. And we'll talk about that process. So let's talk about light. Light starts from the crown. So let's use purple to signify ultraviolet. So the light is blue and red, starts from the crown, and it pours out onto us. The Bible talks about there will be a time when the Spirit is poured out onto the masses. This is the time, because now the Spirit is revealing everything I've been telling you since I was born. Okay, so first, after the light pours out, it has a masculine aspect. Okay, let us charge the phone and then come back. That's a good idea. And when we come back in part 2, we'll talk about the light.